Hey guys, I thought this was a really appropriate background for this video. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Callie. Welcome. If you're returning, welcome. If you're new, say hello in the comments below. Today's video is going to be, I guess, another storytime video about my past work as a webcam model, how I got into it, why I left, and all that kind of stuff, as well as just, I guess, like some general sort of anecdotes that I remember. Thank you guys so much for the really positive feedback on my video called My Nudes Leaked. If you haven't seen it, I will link it down below somewhere. You guys are a really positive and awesome and like forward-thinking community, and I love that. So thank you for being that kind of community. Real good. Before we get into the video, if you're new, if you would like to hit the subscribe button, that would be awesome. And if you enjoy story times and want to hear more story times, click the thumbs up or leave a comment below saying as much. That just lets me know that this is the content you guys like to see. I struggle with story times on my channel. They get decent views compared to a lot of my content, but I feel like I just kind of struggle with the way that they're viewed on YouTube, and I don't really want to... There's like part of me that's like, I don't want to be part of that like community. I don't want that kind of association. So yeah, if you guys like them, just let me know. But I do struggle with sort of a lot of the way that they're viewed on YouTube. Also, if you like my beanie, they are mine. They are from my shop. And if you would like to grab one for yourself because you partake in the NSFW, you can do that. I'm thinking of bringing them out with white thread also. All right, so camming, working as a webcam model. Or being a camgirl, a lot of people call it also. Pretty sure the technical term is webcam model, but yeah. Or maybe a nude adult entertainer. If you hate me, I don't blame you. I started camming when I think I was like 21. It was in my second last year of university. This was kind of the period in my life where I got into the adult industry, and then I left the adult industry at about 25 to 26. It was 26, I believe, that I was like fully out. Wait, no, it was 25 that I was like fully out. Yeah, just after I turned 25. So it was like an on and off 4-year long thing. So I was about 21 and I had just done some nude modeling work for a company. There's a story time about that as well. So a friend of mine me and her were both looking for jobs at the time, and I was freelancing. I had occasional retail work and occasional hospitality work, but nothing was really consistent. I was like in and out of like 4 different jobs. I feel like everybody who has ever been a university student knows this struggle, or even in your early 20s when you're trying to just establish yourself in your career or just have a steady life. It's you know the struggle, man. Like, this is the reality of not having a rich family, of coming from money. You have to juggle like 400 different jobs, and sometimes you work like a 30 or 40 hour a week on top of studies in your final year of university and like finishing all your major projects or your thesis depending on your degree, and you know, you have a mental breakdown in your work toilet. That is just the reality of student life. So a friend of mine who wasn't a student but was also sort of struggling with work, she told me about some of her friends who were strippers and cam models, and I was like, so how do they do the camming? Like, how does that work? She gave me the website and I went and had a look on the website, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I like watched a couple of camgirl shows and kind of got like a feel for what they were doing and did some Googling about it. And the next day she was like, so I did my first webcam show. And then she was like, I think it's kind of a crock of shit though, because I only made like 20 bucks. And I was like, oh, that sucks. So how webcam websites work is that they have kind of their own currency, and the one that I was using, it was referred to as tokens. And each token equaled a certain like percentage of $1. You had to be aware of how many tokens you had to make to be making a certain amount of money, and she hadn't worked that out. So I worked it out for her, and then I was like, I reckon I could do this as well. Mind you, this same friend is also like the same person who was like, you should become a stripper. So what a good influence she was. I'm kidding. We all know that I love strippers and sex workers. But yeah, I was kind of like, yeah, I could probably do this too, but I was a bit of a pussy about it. It had been a while since like the last time I had done nude modeling, and I was kind of worried about, you know, what would happen to like the cam shows or anything like that. Nowadays, obviously, I don't care, but at that time I was 21 and this was kind of this was my like second adult industry foray. So it was like very fresh and very new to the idea of like, what if someone like puts it on Pirate Bay and my boss sees it? And that has happened to people that I know. So it took me a little while, and the first cam show that I actually did, I came home from a party. It was one of my friends' like 22nd birthdays, and we went out to dinner and like had, you know, after drinks at her place, and I was like, I'm gonna go home. I had spent like my last 30 bucks for the fortnight until like the next payday or the next article or whatever on cider and goon. If you're unaware, goon is cheap boxed wine here in Australia that uni students really like to drink. And I logged onto the campsite and I was a little bit drunk, and I managed to make a couple $100, mostly by like chatting to people. I didn't even do a proper show, and this is one thing that was a thing with my like cam shows. I rarely did like private shows because I just didn't like doing them. Most of the time I was just online getting tips for talking and like whatever was in my room topic. And this is pretty much how I operated in my cam room on and off for like 4 years. And I always looked at this as not even a part-time job, more like a hobby that paid money. I found that the cam community that at least I found was really positive. Like other cam girls were really nice, although I didn't really talk to that many until I'd actually sort of exited or was on the way out. My customers were usually really nice, and weirdly I found it easier to keep regulars on cam than in a strip club. But yeah, the majority of my like camming work was pretty much come home from a party, and if I was bored I would log on and it would help me, you know, make the month's rent with my 6 billion other university student jobs. And I definitely wasn't like super professional about it. I wasn't marketing myself. I wasn't even out as a cam girl because, like I said, this was before stripping. This was before me having any sort of like happiness and pride in my choices as being part of the adult industry. And I think that a lot of adult industry workers go through that, where like you don't like you can really wrestle with feelings of shame in the beginning, because obviously we internalize shame in our society. That sucks. I don't think we should be doing that, but you know, everybody has to go through that personal journey. And if you're going through that personal journey at the moment, I hope that you are okay, because I know it can be really, really scary and tough to struggle with that. But yeah, I found it really fun because I found like calculating the tokens that I needed to get the money that I wanted and like setting up room topics and all of that kind of thing really fun. Then as I was exiting stripping, I did it again because I was sort of back in that position where I was like, cool, like you've exited stripping, you've made some money, but you don't want to be living off your savings, right? You've got to, you know, you've got to hustle. You've kind of got to go back to that. I have 4 different jobs and none of them are the same thing. And none of them are full time, and none of them are really like fantastic jobs, but you've got to do what you've got to do. And that was the period that I came out, when I was camming and met sort of online, cam girls via Twitter, and sort of marketed myself a bit more and did it a bit more full time. And that definitely worked. But I will say that if you do become a cam girl, you need to like hustle in the beginning, because cam websites promote you if you're new, but they don't really promote you if your account's old. So if you've been doing it on and off on the same account for 4 years, you're not going to be as promoted as if you like do a week straight and it's your first time ever on that site. You know what I mean? But yeah, I remember writing an article anonymously for the website Pile Rats about like my first kind of foray into camming, and just how like at the time youth unemployment in Australia was really high, and it was hard to get like a full-time or like a permanent part-time position anywhere that would actually pay enough to help support me through uni, and just how camming had actually been a way for me to support myself and create a job for myself, especially coming from like a not super privileged background. Like I'm a lot more privileged than a lot of people in this world. Obviously, like I live in Australia, we have a lot of government benefit for students, but at the same time, it's also barely enough to scrape by, like barely enough. I remember like going to job interviews when I was exiting university, like trying to find my first full-time job after I'd graduated, and like my mum came and visited me, and she like took a look at my shoes because I had these ripped up like purple Doc Martens. They were the only shoes that I owned at the time. And she was just like, you can't be going to job interviews in those, and like bought me new shoes. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my story. This isn't really advice, but I will leave a list of channels if you're over 18 and this is something that you're interested in down below that do have proper advice. There are a bunch of like professional cam girls who do this full time. There's Jessica Wild, who also works for Inked magazine. There's Vera Bambi, who used to be a cam girl and now does full time like sort of sexy Patreon stuff. Who else? I think there's a girl called Siren Cove, who I think is a full-time cam girl, but yeah, I'll link them down below if you guys want to check their channels out for whatever reason, just to learn more about cam girl stuff. Also, if you yourself are a cam girl, hi. How you doing? Yeah, I hope that this answered some of you guys' questions about the strange period that was my early 20s. very strange. Oh, and the reason that I left, of course, was just that it wasn't the job that I want to do in life. I think it's a really great job for a lot of people. A lot of people earn really good money. The money was really good, but as you guys know from my why I quit stripping video, I was over the adult industry as a whole. I was just kind of getting like over sort of the general vibe that I was feeling from it, and I'm a writer. I went to school for writing. I have a job, a full-time job writing, and I freelance as a writer, and I was able to move into that again, and in a way that didn't sort of spike my back pain, which was the reason I went into stripping. Rambling a lot. But yeah, I've been able to freelance and work from home for over a year now and completely support myself, and that has been amazing. So basically have my dream job now. Trust me, if being a writer is your dream job, it does not pay as much as you think. I do not earn J.K. Rowling's money. Maybe if I ever write a bestseller one day, we'll see. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you next time. If you want to look at any of my other videos, they're around. Goodbye.